In today's video, the end is near for Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer because none of this is going according to plan. Bombshell polling is revealing what can only be described as the Democrats' worst nightmare. Their approval numbers are collapsing, and now they're even facing pressure from some of their most loyal and largest supporters to end this government shutdown. And with the president of the Air Traffic Controller Association speaking about how detrimental this shutdown has become, all signs point in one direction: the downfall of the Democrat Party's narrative and the beginning of the end for its leadership. So we're breaking it all down, showing you how each side is presenting their case and what it really means for the people caught in the middle. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to like the video and subscribe and turn on all those notification bells to the channel for more breakdowns just like this. So let's start with CNN, where even they had to admit this government shutdown hasn't had the negative effect on the Republican Party that the Democrats were hoping for. Take a listen.
With us now, CNN chief data analyst Harry. And Harry, we saw the troops. We've talked about air traffic controllers. Not clear their pain will end the shutdown. One thing that might end a shutdown is political pain if parties start to feel that it's hurting them. So let's talk about that, starting with Republicans. How has the shutdown seemed to have affected their political standing?
Yeah, you might think, given that the Republicans are in charge of both the House and the Senate, that a government shutdown might actually hurt the Republican brand. But in fact, it hasn't. If anything, it's been helped a little bit. Take a look here, the shift in net popularity versus pre-shutdown. When we're looking at the Republican Party overall, that brand actually up 2 points. That's within the margin of error, but clearly it hasn't dropped. Come over to this side of the screen. Look at the net approval ratings for Republicans in Congress. It's actually up 5 points since pre-shutdown. So what we're seeing here is the Republican brand in Congress has actually improved somewhat compared to where we were pre-shutdown, despite the fact that Republicans control. And that's the math that John Thune and Mike Johnson are looking at is, well, hey, why should we give, and electorally speaking, when our brand has actually improved a little bit?
That's not good news for the Democrats. Going into this shutdown, Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries had two goals. First, they wanted to prove to the far left wing of their party that they were willing to stand up to Trump because they know that part of their base, the AOC, Bernie style, has become powerful enough to galvanize the base. And that's a threat to their own control. Take a look at the rally that occurred in New York City for the mayor race with Zohran Mamdani, where Bernie Sanders and AOC showed up. The energy and support they were able to draw. I don't think anybody for 1 second thinks that Chuck Schumer or Hakeem Jeffries can draw that level of energy, that level of support from their base right now. Second, this was supposed to be their political weapon, their way of showing the American people that the Republicans and Trump were the problem. The GOP couldn't govern, and that the Democrats, they are here to save the day. But here's the problem. At some point, people grow up. Kids learn the Easter Bunny and Santa Claus aren't real, and Americans are realizing the Democrat narrative isn't either. Because despite all their efforts, Democrats haven't been able to make Trump look bad during this shutdown. If anything, it's been backfiring, and they know it.
Now, we say their position is getting better. With whom?
Yeah, okay, with whom? So I think it's two groups that it's so important to keep an eye on. All right, changing the Republican Congress's net approval rating versus pre-shutdown. It's rallying the base for sure. Look at this, the net approval rating up 12 points versus pre-shutdown. But it's not just with the base. It's also with the middle of the electorate. Look at this, among independents. It's up 8 points as well. So we've got a situation here where Republicans with the shutdown are actually rallying their base, but it's also something that's not hurting them with the folks in the middle. If anything, it's helping them with folks in the middle. And this is the type of math that if you're Republicans, you like to see, right? Because something could rally the base but alienate those in the middle, or something could rally those in the middle but alienate the base. But the truth is, we're not seeing that. What we're seeing is the Republican brand has actually gotten better among independents, and it's also gotten better among Republicans as well, that Republican brand when it comes to those in Congress. So again, what's the electoral reason that Republicans would give in at this point?
And Democrats, of course, they have their eyes on the midterm elections. Yeah, we have elections 1 week from today, but what Democrats in Congress are mostly focused on are 1 year and 1 week from today from the midterm. So how are they positioned right now?
Yeah, so I mean, look, the generic congressional ballot, which traditionally Democrats have done really well on, and if you look at this point back when Trump was president the first time around, Democrats are up 11 points. Look at where it is now. Democrats are ahead, but they're actually only up 3 points. This is, in fact, the worst position Democrats have been on in a generic ballot at this point in midterm when there was a Republican president in the last 20 years. And this is no different from pre-shutdown. So Republicans aren't losing on this metric either. They become more popular, and they're actually in a pretty good position for them historically when it comes to the generic congressional ballot.
This is a concerning number for Democrats, are you saying,
This is a concerning number for Democrats because it's considerably worse than they traditionally do in midterm elections when there's a Republican president.
Harry Etten, thank you very much.
Thank you, my friend.
This shutdown is not going the way that the Democrat Party had hoped for. And for Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, it's actually just making them look like they're more disposable now than ever. And if things weren't bad already, now they have some of their most loyal and longtime supporters from the Federal Workers Union, the largest workers union, speaking up, speaking out and saying, in this shutdown, pass the CR bill. It doesn't need to include the health care measures. Just pass the bill so people can start getting their paychecks again.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very dramatic call from that union of federal employees representing hundreds of thousands with a statement today saying, among other things, that it's time for our leaders to start focusing on how to solve problems for the American people rather than on who is going to get the blame for a shutdown that Americans dislike. Because when the folks who serve this country are standing in line for food banks after missing a second paycheck because of this shutdown, they aren't looking for partisan spin. They're looking for wages that they earned. They go on to essentially say that Congress needs to pass, in their view, a clean CR. Now, when Speaker Mike Johnson was asked about this today, he certainly kind of leaned into this. In fact, we saw several top Republicans on the House side take advantage of this statement and basically point to it, saying, Democrats, the ball is in your court now, whether or not you decide to act on this. Johnson saying, I certainly hope this is a turning point in the shutdown, noting that this is a union, after all, that is weighing in this sort of way and saying that this shutdown is a charade. Now, of course, at the same time, I have in recent weeks spoken to Democrats representing districts with heavy populations of federal employees, and their message that they say they've been receiving from federal workers was keep up the fight, that health care is the fight worth having, that it is an important time to push back on the Trump administration. Of course, as this continues to drag out, as we see federal employees now missing paychecks, will that start to change? We shall see this week when lawmakers start to return. The Senate comes in this afternoon. They're expected at some point this week to vote again on that CR to reopen the government. And members of the House Democratic Caucus are going to be here as well, so we'll be polling them too.
Whatever leverage Democrats thought they had, it's completely flushed down the toilet. Completely. They have one of the largest Democrat unions telling them they're siding with the Republicans. They need to sign the CR bill and reopen the government. The Schumer shutdown is a complete free fall at this point. And if that wasn't enough, you also had the president of the Air Traffic Controller Association. He spoke out about the government shutdown. Take a listen.
Airports across the country continue to face flight interruptions amid the ongoing government shutdown. Nearly 7,000 flights were delayed yesterday as absences among air traffic controllers surge. Starting today, air traffic controllers won't get a paycheck, and their last paycheck for work they did in September was already reduced. The FAA has warned that air traffic controllers are already understaffed, and many had been working mandatory overtime and 6-day weeks even before the shutdown began.
I am the president of the National Air Traffic Controllers Association, Nick Daniels, and I proudly stand here, but at the same time, I'm here to tell the story. I normally have prepared remarks for you today, but today isn't a day for prepared remarks. Today is a day to speak on behalf of the men and women, as the Secretary just said, that go in and day out and do the job of unsung heroes. They keep America safe. They keep America moving. But today, an air traffic controller showed up at their facility to see $0 in their paycheck. That air traffic controller just moved hundreds of miles from Oklahoma City after passing a grueling 4 months at Oklahoma City Academy, is at the lowest end of our pay scale, and has shown up to a job that pays them $0. They're trying to move in. They're trying to get set up on just even having a place of being able to put up for rent. And guess what's due in a few days? Rent for everybody. It's not the gas that they have to put in the car, the food that they have to put on the table. It's the stress that they now wear. This job is stressful enough. We go to work day in and day out and make thousands of decisions. We do it 5 days a week. Most of us actually do it 6. 5's hard enough, and we do it 6 and 10 hours a day. And now you add in the fact that we had a partial paycheck already, and we missed a full paycheck today. America's air traffic controllers are now having to focus on how do they put gas in the car? How do they take care of their children? How do they pay for childcare? And as the Secretary said, that makes the system less safe. And then the only way to make it safe is to reduce the number of aircraft in it. Day in and day out, air traffic controllers have to have 100% of focus, 100% of the time. And I'm watching air traffic controllers go into work. I'm getting the stories. They're worried about paying for medicine for their daughter. I got a message from a controller that said, I'm running out of money, and if she doesn't get the medicine she needs, she dies. That's the end. So I'm going to either have to quit this job and take a different one instead of moving America's passengers through it or the cargo. Now I'm going to have to choose my family and my daughter. And that is nothing a parent should ever have to deal with, or especially the hardworking men and women that are federal employees across the entire system.
You never know where someone is at financially in life. So when you have to make tough life choices off of one missed paycheck, it might point to a bigger issue such as budgeting and spending habits. But at the same time, life happens. Emergencies hit, unexpected expenses come up, especially if you have kids where something could happen that already puts you in a bind. It only gets harder when you have a government shutdown that you weren't anticipating and your savings gets drained even more. And so while there are plenty of people who do need better money management skills when it comes to budgeting and spending properly, because that is a problem, sometimes that's not the case. And so while you would hope someone in this situation could go missing one paycheck, that's not always feasible for everyone. Even if they're doing everything the right way, things happen. And so according to the report, there are now 7,000 flight delays and 3,500 person staffing shortages as far as things go. The stress that comes with that job is already intense. And now not getting paid on top of it, even if someone's doing well financially, it's still their money. They went to work, they earned it. That's their paycheck. But guys, let me know your thoughts. Do you think this shutdown will end sooner rather than later, especially now that you have the federal unions who are known for supporting the Democrat Party stepping up and speaking out, saying, we're siding with the Republicans. Sign the CR bill, Democrats. Get the government reopened. Share your thoughts. Drop your comments down below. As always, if you enjoy the content, make sure to like the video and subscribe and turn on all the notification bells on the channel for more breakdowns just like this. And as always, until next time.